They were just mentioning there, John Thompson upstairs with Robin Chipperfield. Must have been a heck of a team talk at half-time. What did you say to him?
Nothing much really. I think the best part about today is, and it doesn't sound right, but to be 1-0 down and the anxiety around the place, you could feel it. The only way we was going to get back in that game was to keep passing the ball. If we'd have started going direct, we'd have played into their hands. We had to keep switching, we had to keep moving the ball. We just lacked a change of tempo in that first half. We obviously got the goal, which was a great goal, great run by Jim. But the second half, we just wanted them to change pace. Carry on doing what they're doing, but change pace at the right times. And I thought some of the goals were exceptional, and we did that in our build-up.
Felt like confidence suddenly kind of flooded into Meadow Lane, and that made a big difference as well.
Of course it does, and then you see the ability and the finishes that the boys can do. But, like I say, I go back to that first half, 1-0 down, a few groans, anxiety around the place, oh, here we go again, and that's the hardest part to play in when it's like that, and we had to keep saying, look, you've got to forget all of that and keep being brave and keep doing the game plan, which we thought would get us joy in the end.
But you were angry, you were frustrated. I know you were, because you went and sat down, and that's always your cue when you go and sit down on your cool box. I know it's because you're furious.
No, not always. Sometimes me and Coxie dovetail. Sometimes it's hot up there, and I'm looking at it and I think, okay, relax, go and sit back down, and Coxie will go up and look at various things, and sometimes we do that. So it wasn't anger. We just needed to. The hard part is you have to kind of block out the anxiety around the place and the moans and the groans at times when it's not quite going how you want it to. They don't mean to, it's just, come on, they want to get the boys going. And, we did that well, and that was the most pleasing thing about the result today.
In the early stages when they did go a goal up and they had another couple of opportunities and things were starting to turn a little bit here at Meadow Lane, did you start to fear the worst a little bit and think, oh, here we go?
Well, it's pressure, it's always pressure. You're expected to win, and we knew they'd cause us them problems. They changed. They played 2 number 10s in behind 1 striker, so we knew that was the bit, and we just had to make sure that Doyley and Mitch sat and protected that part and let the fullbacks go and play higher and wider. And once we nailed that bit down at half time, you saw the results.
Does it feel like this could be a really important turning point, even in the early stages of this season? Because had that have gone the wrong way today, and say you'd have got beat at home by Chorley, and everybody would have made a big deal out of it because they're a part-time club and all that sort of stuff. But to get a win like that, and not just a win, a 5-1 win, it's a marker down, isn't it?
It's great for confidence. You look at the strikers have all scored. Christian had already scored, and we know he will. But to get Nath and Wes on the goal on the score sheet is great. So you want your attacking players to feel that, and Enzio. So that's one part. But we're 4 unbeaten now, and we knew in that first week we was chucked together. We were unfit, and we were trying to piece it all together. And I knew that bit was going to be tough. We've tweaked things a little bit. We're getting stronger. We need to learn how to win all different types of games. Today was a footballing game. On Saturday we played more of a direct game against that, and we need to master both styles before we can get carried away. But we're unbeaten in 4.
Wes Thomas coming off the bench, did you think, you looked at it and went, this game is there for a goal for Wes, which would do in the world of good after Saturday? Yeah,
and Nath was feeling the back of his knee a little bit. So, today part of it was, the medical team that worked wonders yesterday. They put so much effort into getting these boys fresh for today. And the hardest part for me was, trying to pick a team based on the freshness and what I know. Young Sam Graham did really, really well on Saturday, but it's hard for a 19-year-old to play back-to-back when they're not used to it. So we wanted to get freshened up in full-back areas, freshened up in midfield, and we've done it well. We've got through, and touch wood, we haven't got any injuries.
How does it feel for you personally? Because it's been a tough old bumpy road so far.
Of course it has, but if you think back to when we started the season, and we knew all the problems we were going to have and all that kind of stuff, the one thing I said was, we want to try and get through this period, first month, get into that sort of pack in the middle of the table and in touch, and that was, I thought that was as good as we was going to be able to do. And I think that's kind of where we've got to at the moment. We talk about trying to build momentum. We've built that with 4 games unbeaten, and boys are determined to keep that going. We've got 2 really tough games now, the Oval away and then Solihull, probably up there with the best team in the league. So there'll be different tests for us, and we look forward to it now on the back of that win.
So how are you feeling then?
I'm really good.
Relieved?
Yeah, relieved, of course I am. It's pressure. there's pressure when you're at Notts County and you're playing Chorley, and that's no disrespect to Chorley because them guys in there have done a wonderful job and they're a really good footballing team and they'll cause teams problems. But there's pressure obviously because you know if it doesn't go well, you know that it's going to come your way as a manager, but you've got to try and be brave enough to stick to the way that you need these boys to play. And that's what I said. The pleasing thing was at 1-0 down with a lot of anxiety around the stadium, we kept going and did it right.
So what's your philosophy? Is it get the ball down and play as many passes, incisive passes obviously at that as you possibly can? Because today it seemed very much you did more of what you were trying to do on Saturday, which is get the ball down and play in triangles.
Obviously you've got to find a way to win different games. So when we played Ebbsfleet the other day, that it was a little bit more high tempo game. There wasn't sitting off, it wasn't tactical, so we had to do the rubbish side of the game first, the important side, to be able to get a foothold in it, which we probably didn't do. And then we was loose with our passing, as we talked about, and we never really got a flow going. Today it was more of a footballing match, and if we'd have tried to go direct and play at 100 mile an hour, we'd have played into their hands. So we had to retain possession. They got back in a back five and a 4 block in midfield, so it was really hard to find the gaps and we had to keep working them.
It would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that the goal that you did concede was from a set piece, as you grimace at me saying those words. Is that the one thing that kind of takes the edge off today?
Of course, we keep working on them. That's all we can do. As a management team, we make sure that the players are aware of all the different types they've got, who their best headers of the ball are, make sure we match up our best headers with theirs, make sure everyone knows their jobs. Once they get on there, the boys have got to go and do it. So the good thing is they're angry about it, and they're in there pointing fingers and moaning about it, so that's a good start, and all we can do is keep working on it and make sure that it doesn't become an Achilles heel as the season goes on. Going
out there and running on the pitch and flying headering it away yourself, can you do any more than what you and Coxie are already doing?
The only thing we can do really is sign the players. If we want to sign everyone that's 6'4" and built like tanks, we'll probably defend them a bit better. But we've tried to get the balance right. We've got people, 3 big centre halves. Damien's good in the air. Zoom's not bad in the air, although he's not 6'2". Mitch Rose can do. We're trying to do that, and like we say, if we can add another, bit more physical striker to the group, that will be another option for us from set place.
Good to have a few days off now, I guess, after 2 games in 3 days.
Yeah, and like I say, everyone deserves a little rest here. The medical team, as I've said before, worked incredibly hard over this weekend. We can all just spend a day with our families, and then we'll crack on and try and keep the run going.
Well done, Neal. Thank you.